Hello, this is Elenis. I'm a raiding rogue on the Horde side of Terrellian US, and I'm here today to discuss with you the combat spec. We're going to discuss talents, glyphs, basic rotation and priority, advanced rotation and priority, and some tips and tricks to help you become better with the spec. Starting with talents. For level 15 talents, I recommend Shadow Focus. There is a case made for Subterfuge from time to time. However, I would recommend Shadow Focus so that you can avoid the added complexity of having to energy pool for Vanish. This applies to most specs. Subterfuge was useful with the Glyph of Vanish. However, I believe that that is now hotfixed. Your level 30 talents, I recommend Nerve Strike. The only reason being is that the other two talents are pretty much useless. There can be a case made for combat readiness on some fights and in some situations depending on your strat on bosses. However, for the most part, with the adds and encounters and to provide that extra utility, you want to run Nerve Strike. For your level 45 talents, I strongly recommend Cheat Death. People will claim that elusiveness is a viable option. There may be times when it is, maybe on farmed. However, for the most part, take Cheat Death. Just do yourself a favor. It doesn't cost you any energy. It will save your ass so many times. Just take the talent. For level 60, Shadow Step should be your default choice. Not only does it put you behind your target, and obviously it teleports you behind your target, but it also gives you that 70% movement speed for 2 seconds. This is incredibly invaluable in helping you with your uptime on bosses. Burst of Speed can be useful sometimes, maybe on Hans and Franz, but it costs energy, man, and it costs quite a lot of energy now since it's been changed. So I strongly recommend Shadow Step. Ignore the rest. For level 75. Again, these are all pretty much useless in a PvE environment. Prey on the Weak. Just take it. Take it, use it on ads, use it on your Blast Furnace ads, your, whatever. Dirty Tricks is no use to you, Internal Bleeding is no use to you. Just take Prey on the Weak. For level 90, Marked for Death can be particularly useful. A, if you're very, very good at using it, and B, if you don't have your 4-piece tier 17 bonus. Even with the bonus, there can be cases made for it. However, for the most part, you're going to find that Anticipation A makes your life much easier, and B will increase your DPS on 99.9% of situations. Being able to pull more than 5 combo points for a Deep Insight to push your cooldowns and to push out those extra Deep Insight eviscerates will just absolutely put you over the top. For level 100 talents, Death from Above is underwhelming, Shadow Reflection is underwhelming. You want to take Venom Rush for combat. Venom Rush pretty much mitigates the energy loss or energy regen reduction from Blade Flurry, so you want to take Venom Rush. For your major glyphs, I recommend Glyph of Disappearance. Reduces the cooldown of Vanish by 60 seconds. Keep in mind that stealth is no longer automatically activated, so when you're outside raid and you still have this glyph, just remember that it could get you killed. It's happened to me. Glyph of Cloak of Shadows is another one that I would strongly recommend you use. It helps you take less physical damage when you activate Cloak of Shadows, so it becomes useful for far more than just magic. And absolutely mandatory, do not ever remove this glyph, is Glyph of Energy. It allows you to increase your maximum energy by 20, allowing you to pull more energy, and takes you longer to energy cap, which is particularly useful if you killing spree with higher energy than you should be. Minor glyphs don't matter. Glyph of Poisons, Glyph of Lockpick, Glyph of Pickpocket, it doesn't matter. Other major glyphs that can be useful for you, man, not much really. Glyph of Feint, if you really insist on using elusiveness, pair this with Feint. At least you'll get a little bit more bang for your buck. Glyph of Smoke Bomb, useful on fights where you're using Smoke Bomb to obviously mitigate damage. However, with the Smoke Bomb nerf, bringing it down to 10% DR, it's really not considered a major cooldown anymore. It doesn't stack with Priest Barrier. Generally speaking, Smoke Bomb is not nearly as great as it was in Mists of Pandaria. For combat, guys, that's pretty much it on your glyphs. Not a lot of options. Alright, let's discuss stats. Your primary stat is agility. You want leather gear with agility on it. The more agility, the better, of course. As far as secondary stats goes, you want haste. Haste is your attunement stat. Haste increases our attack speed, our energy regeneration rate, lowers the global cooldown. It is by far the best stat when you're talking single target combat. Second behind haste is multi-strike. Multi-strike is our second strongest stat because of the way that Blade Flurry interacts with it on AoE and Glyph fights. Your Blade Flurry hits can multi-strike, which will cause those hits to multi-strike, and will cause those hits to multi-strike, and you get the picture. So, look for gear with haste on it, look for gear with multi-strike on it. Versatility is close behind. Oddly enough, unlike most specs and classes, versatility is not terrible for combat rogues because it is a flat DPS increase. It's a flat percentage. It scales with Blade Flurry on that flat percentage, so we don't lose anything there. So yeah, it's a good stat for us. Leave your mastery and your crit at the door. We really are not that interested in those stats. They're not terrible. Take it if you have to, but you want to look for haste. You want to look for multi-strike and versatility. Since it comes on a lot of gear, you're going to end up with it anyway. The first thing you need to know about a combat rogue is that we use instant poison. This must be applied to your weapon at all times. It is a player-specific buff, meaning that if you switch weapons, your poisons remain. They are no longer attached to the weapon. However, there is no option for a deadly poison other than instant poison for combat, and there is no option for utility poison other than crippling poison for combat. Wound poison is PvP only utility and will result in a substantial DPS loss over instant poison. Okay, moving on to our abilities. There are a few extremely important core abilities that a combat rogue needs to become intimately familiar with. The first one is Slice and Dice. This is a finishing move that consumes combo points to increase attack speed by 40%. You want to use this with whatever available combat points you have when it is about to expire. Obviously, the more the better, however, you must never ever let this buff drop off if you wish to be successful. Number 2 is Eviscerate. This is our bread and butter finishing move that causes damage per combo point. You never ever want to use this with anything less than 5 combo points, unless you are using Marked for Death. However, for the purpose of this guide, we are running Anticipation, and as an Anticipation combat rogue, you never want to use it with less than 5 combo points. Blade Flurry is our cleave if you have more than one target in melee range. In fact, if you have more than one target within 10 yards, you turn this on. If you only have one target, you turn this off. Very, very simple. Revealing Strike. Revealing Strike is an active buff that we must maintain on our primary target that increases the effect of our offensive finishing moves by 35% and giving your Sinister Strike a 25% chance to generate an additional combo point. What this means is that you must have this on your target before you use Sinister Strike and before you use an offensive finisher. There are very few situations in which you do not want to have this active on your primary target. Sinister Strike is our combo point builder. This is the ability that you want to bind to the button that you can most easily access because you will be spamming this like a beast. This is an instant strike that causes damage. That's it. It gives you 1 combo point. Really, really simple. So the essence of a rogue revolves around stealth. Stealth obviously is an ability that allows you to disappear from sight and reappear as you please. The rogues have access to an ability called Vanish, which allows you to enter stealth while in combat. Specifically, it allows you to enter an improved stealth mode for 3 seconds. Typically without the Glyph of Disappearance, it would automatically enter you into regular stealth when the 3-second vanish period ends. However, using Glyph of Disappearance, as I strongly recommend you do as a PvE raiding rogue, you will no longer enter stealth automatically after 3 seconds. So what this means from a practical standpoint is you have 3 seconds to use a stealth ability after you use Vanish, before that Vanish expires and you lose that opportunity. You have an ability called Preparation, which is on a 5-minute cooldown, and it resets the cooldown on Sprint, Vanish, and Evasion. Vanish is the one that we're most concerned with here. So it allows you to vanish twice, within a very short period of time. So when you are dealing with your burst openers, which we will get to later, you would want to vanish, you would want to Preparation to reset that vanish and vanish again. That's what you need to know about that. The reason that stealth is so important for us, and why it's important to master its use as a rogue, is because of the ability Ambush. Ambush is a hard-hitting ability that requires stealth, requires 60 energy, which is quite a lot, and it does an obscene amount of damage and awards 2 combo points, as opposed to the rest of our combo point builders, which award 1 combo point. So we want to use this ability whenever possible, which means on the pull, immediately after Vanish. Those are the only 2 opportunities that a combat rogue really gets to use Ambush. As you can imagine, Ambush usage is the reason that the level 15 talent of Shadow Focus is so important, because it reduces that 60 energy cost of Ambush down to something like, 15 or 20 energy. So that ensures that we always have enough energy to ambush immediately after a Vanish. Okay, on to cooldowns. You have 2 cooldowns available as a combat rogue. The first is Killing Spree. Killing Spree teleports you to a visible enemy within 10 yards, attacking 7 times over 3 seconds, doing damage with your main hand and offhand weapon. There's a few things to note about this ability. The first is that you will lose control of your character for the 3 seconds, which means that if you're careless with this ability, it will put you in bad things and you will die. It will put you in front of cleaves, it will put you in fire pools, it will put you in void zones, you name it, it will happen. So you must be extremely careful with your timing of this ability. The other thing to note is its interaction with Blade Flurry, which is to say that if Blade Flurry is active, it will teleport you to different target enemies within 10 yards and do damage to all of them. The Killing Spree attacks with Blade Flurry on will duplicate, so it is worthwhile that if you have more than 1 target in range, you do have Blade Flurry on while you Killing Spree. Another thing to note is that because it does damage with main hand and offhand weapon, Killing Spree will do more damage with a slow, hard-hitting offhand than it will with, for example, a faster dagger in your offhand. The other major cooldown that you have as a combat rogue is Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush increases your energy regeneration by 100% and your attack speed by 20% for 15 seconds. In addition, it shortens the global cooldown of your energy consumers by 0.2 of a second. So this is a spam all the things ability. Okay, let's get into some rogue passives. Combat Potency is a passive which gives us 5% more haste from all sources. As I mentioned, haste is our attunement stat. It also allows your offhand attacks to have a chance to generate 15 energy. Empowered Bandit's Guile, Enhanced Blade Flurry, and Improved Dual Wield are all abilities you'll get while leveling from 90 to 100. They do various things for you, which we'll go into here in a little while. The key passive here is Ruthlessness, and the way that Ruthlessness works is every time you spend a combo point, it reduces the cooldown on your Adrenaline Rush, Killing Spree, and Sprint, so your 2 major DPS cooldowns and Sprint, by 2 seconds. Also, it allows all your finishing moves to have a 20% chance to grant a combo point and restore 25 energy. So this is central to the way that the combat rogue works, and the reason that it's so important is because you want to be using your killing spree on cooldown, and you want to be using your adrenaline rush immediately after killing spree, and always after killing spree, because the faster you spam those eviscerates, which adrenaline rush allows you to do much faster, the faster you're spending combo points, and the faster you will reduce the cooldown on your killing spree. But Zale, I hear you say, you're talking about all these things, but how do I actually play a combat rogue? Well, that's a good question, and I am going to show you. Let's go, Garrison Hearthstone. Bandit's Guile is something that's advanced by using Sinister Strike, and the different levels correspond to different levels of damage. When you have no insight, then you do just normal amount of damage. When you have shallow insight, you do 10% increased damage. When you have moderate insight, you do 20% more damage. And thanks to improved Bandit's Guile, when you are in deep insight, you actually do 50% increased damage. So you can see how important it is to maximize your output and your combo point usage during deep insight. So let's take a look at just what this looks like. So first we need poisons, as discussed. And you always want to start an encounter in stealth, and you want to open with an ambush. Now I have a custom UI on my screen, so don't pay too much attention to it. So I've opened with ambush, and I'm Sinister Striking, Here in a moment, you'll see a green pop up right here. This is a mod I use called Bandit's Guile Helper, and it shows Bandit's Guile levels as well as what point I am through the level. Each Bandit's Guile level requires 4 Sinister Strikes to advance it to the next level. You can see now it's yellow, so I'm in Moderate Insight. I keep progressing for 1 more and I'll be in Deep Insight. Now this is my big DPS burn phase. This is where you want to blow everything. You want to blow your killing spree, you want to blow whatever combat points you have banked, you want to blow whatever energy you have pooled. This is where you do the bulk of your damage. And then it's over. And it starts over again. So it's a cyclical process of finding the timing to maximize your DPS on any given encounter. There are some tricks that you can use in order to do this better, and we're going to cover those here in just a moment. Okay, so we talked about your opener. Now, when you open on any typical fight, you want to killing spree almost immediately. So your priority for an opener is ambush, slice and dice with whatever combo points you get, straight into killing spree. The reason that you want to slice and dice before killing spree is because slice and dice increases the speed of your auto attacks, and you want to make sure that you are auto attacking as fast as you can all the time, even during killing spree when auto attacks are still going. Once killing spree is down, you want to hit adrenaline rush, push yourself into deep insight. There are cases during certain fights where you want to adrenaline rush first on the pole to push yourself into deep insight in order for that killing spree. Beast Lord Darmak springs to mind as one example of that, where your deep insight will line up very, very nicely with the first beast pack, so that you can killing spree them down while in deep insight. You always want to make sure that you are using killing spree immediately before you use adrenaline rush, because adrenaline rush allows you to pump out more combo points faster and more finishers, which shortens the cooldown of your killing spree faster. So you're able to squeeze more killing sprees inside a shorter window. This is going to be subject to change based on specific encounter abilities. You always want to be playing to the encounter. In other words, if something lines up really well on a particular boss fight, then you need to change the way that you play in order to line that up. Generally speaking, however, you never ever want to delay either your killing spree or your adrenaline rush, because delaying them for more than a second or two will be a fairly substantial DPS decrease. So let's take a look again at what the opener looks like, this time not slowed down. And we'll fall into a basic rotation so you can kind of see the way that this looks. So opening with ambush, whatever I have for slice and dice, killing spree, revealing strike, adrenaline rush, go. Notice down here My anticipation stacks are building up in preparation for Deep Insight. I want to make sure I have full Slice and Dice going into Deep Insight, and then I'm pounding out those finishers, vanishing Deep Insight, pound out those finishers. I want to try to avoid refreshing Revealing Strike in Deep Insight like I just had to do like a noob. It's not a huge deal, but it will be a slight DPS decrease. And then we're back down to 0 Insight level again. We're just building up our resources. Going to refresh that Slice and Dice here shortly. Okay, going to refresh that Revealing Strike shortly so that we can roll into Moderate Insight here. Okay, Killing Spree is up again. Am I going to wait? I'm going to wait until Deep Insight. I'm going to hit it. I'm going to knock out those finishers, as many as I can squeeze. Adrenaline Rush came up during Deep Insight, that's perfect. Okay, rolling it, as much DPS as I can. As you can see, rolling with close to 40k here without any buffs. A fairly respectable single target for combat, which is not the strongest single target spec. Rolling it, back into Moderate Insight again. I've got a ways to go until Deep Insight. I'm just going to go ahead and Killing Spree here. Revealing Strike, we're going into Deep Insight here. Start pumping out those finishers. Every finisher reduces the cooldown on my Adrenaline Rush and Killing Spree by 10 seconds. Every 5-point finisher, right, is 10 seconds off my cooldowns. Huge. Right, I'm going to let this expire. Now I'm going to refresh my Slice and Dice and just rolling through it again. It's just a cyclical process that you can change as you need to. Now, one thing of note is Revealing Strike. Revealing Strike, as of Warlords of Draenor, has changed its functionality. Revealing Strike will not advance your Bandit's Guile. It will give you a combo point, it will do damage, it will use energy. Okay, it will prevent you from energy capping, it will allow you to continue building combo points, but it will not advance Bandit's Guile. There are times when it's beneficial for you to use this to artificially delay Bandit's Guile. Going into Deep Insight. For example, if you are nearing a burn phase on a boss, and you know, and it's reliable, and your Killing Spree is coming up soon, but you don't quite want to push into Deep Insight yet because you want to maximize that time for Adrenaline Rush or for Killing Spree or whatever the case may be, you can use that Revealing Strike to delay that Insight. Just be careful not to let your Insight expire. It will expire. Okay, Revealing Strike will not refresh the duration on it. And also be careful because Revealing Strike is, by itself, a fairly substantial DPS loss over Sinister Strike. Okay, so that's ultimately the essence of playing a combat rogue. Blizzard has, with this expansion, shifted the focus of their raids from complex class mechanics to complex encounter mechanics. So the importance of knowing the flow of a fight and where your burn phases are and when your downtime is more important now than it's ever been before. That said, there are a few specific rogue things that you can do in order to maximize your percentiles and take you from being that good rogue to being that really great rogue. And one of those things is the importance of not burning your finishers when you have Adrenaline Rush or Killing Spree on cooldown, because you are wasting Ruthlessness at that point. So, you know, you can't reduce the cooldown on an ability that is already off cooldown. So, to illustrate this point, I'm going to just do a standard opener here, get going. Okay, so I'm building my combo points, but nothing's on cooldown here, right? Everything's ready to use. I'm not helping my DPS at all by using finishers that reduce my cooldown time when things are off cooldown. So instead of doing that, I'm going to go ahead and Killing Spree as soon as I possibly can. Now I'm helping myself because I'm reducing my cooldown. So always, as soon as that Killing Spree or Adrenaline Rush comes up, unless there's a really encounter-specific reason not to, make sure you're using them on cooldown. That way you're not wasting your finishers, you're not wasting your Ruthlessness by leaving things on cooldown that you could otherwise be using. Okay, another one is to do with combo point pooling and energy pooling. You know, you're sitting at, let's go here a little bit. Okay, so I'm sitting at 4 I'm sitting at 4 Shallow Insight right now. Alright, instead of using a finisher at 4, which gives me my plus 10% damage, I'm going to push over to 5, okay, get into Moderate Insight, then I'm going to use it, so that I have that extra 10% damage on top of what I already have. Same thing again, right now I'm at 4 Moderate, right, I hit 1 more, I'm in Deep Insight. Now I want to use my finishers. Well, not without Revealing Strike up, but now I want to use my finishers. Okay, I want to get as many finishers in the higher Insight level as I possibly can. Never want to use a finisher when you're about to enter a higher Insight level. The same token, you never want to be left with combo points or energy when you come out of Deep Insight, because that's wasted 50% extra DPS. There's currently an issue with the way that Slice and Dice interacts with Anticipation. The issue being that Slice and Dice will not consume Anticipation stacks. Instead, it will consume your combo points. I don't know if this is intended or if this is a bug, but I can tell you that it is an issue that you need to be aware of when playing a rogue. One final thing of note, try not to refresh your Revealing Strike or Slice and Dice while you are in Deep Insight. Try to make sure that when you're in that Moderate Insight that you get those refreshed before you push into Deep Insight, so that you're not spending combo points in your high burst DPS phase on things that don't do that much DPS. Tier 17 set bonuses. Yes. So your 2-piece Tier 17 set bonus increases the chance for Revealing Strike to generate an extra combo point by 20%. What this means, strange wording aside, is that any attack made against a target that has Revealing Strike active has a chance to generate an extra combo point. Your 4 set bonus is the reason that Anticipation is so much better than Marked for Death. Your finishing moves have a 4% per combo point chance to generate 5 combo points and cause your next Eviscerate to consume no energy. In other words, you get a free finisher. However, if you are not running Anticipation, you run the risk, if you're not quick enough on your toes, of wasting those extra 5 combo points, because you cannot store more than 5 combo points, and so if you have more than 5 combo points and you gain another 5 combo points, you will lose any additional combo points. It is for that reason, and that reason primarily, that I strongly recommend that you just run Anticipation no matter the fight. And that's all you need to know in this WoW Patch 6.1 Combat Rogue Guide. I hope that whether you be a new player or an old player, you got something useful and informative out of this to help you become better at the rogue, and hopefully you love it as much as I do. Take care, everybody. Bye.